Tim Hogan, welcome back to the Preconstruction podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Good. The reason I want you back, Tim, a couple of reasons. First of all, the numbers and the downloads of your first episode of the Preconstruction podcast are incredible. So if anybody hasn't listened to that, by the way, I'm going to put the link below. It's worth, even if you listen to this one, you can still go back and listen to the other one because we're going to be talking about a lot of different things. So that was the first reason. The second reason, you've got a promotion and a new role, and I want to hear all about it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great.
So let's set the scene. Give us an idea of what you're doing right now, a little bit of background on HITT, and then we'll get into it a little bit deeper.
Yeah, so I've been at HITT for 7 years now, and I have a pretty well-rounded resume at this point. I've worn a few different hats. As I talked about last time we talked, I kind of came up in operations as an assistant super, and then as an APM, and then a PM, and then took on a role in Precon, which was an opportunity to get my foot in the door at HITT, and also take on some big projects. So I spent 7 years in Precon, got some great experiences, and at the end of the year, I got an offer to take over as the Vice President of Project Solutions, which Project Solutions is an umbrella of 3 different departments. So it's Project Solutions, which is Operations Technology, Virtual Design and Construction, which is our VDC team, and then our Sustainable Construction team. So very fortunate to have some very high-performing team members on all 3 of my groups that make my job easier. But it's been about 4 months on the job, and it's been going well. So
yeah, you're spinning some amount of plates there, Tom, I tell you.
It's a good challenge, though. Yep.
That's the beauty of it. So the reason I wanted to get you on as well, I love the idea that you've gone operations into Precon at a really high level, and then you've got on over to operations tech and VDC, and then we'll talk a little bit about sustainability. But tell me about operations tech, because I actually had a couple of guests on, and they talked about, and this was within Preconstruction, they talked about laser scanning a project very early on, especially adaptive reuse and how valuable it is and that data within Preconstruction. So tell me about how that sort of stuff, what you're giving back to Precon, and then having your Precon hat on and that experience, how benefit is that to you?
Yeah, I think there's certainly synergies between ops, Precon, operations tech, VDC, and all those groups. And I think I worked on a design build a couple of years ago, which really gave me an eye-opening experience of how all those teams can work together. And specifically on the VDC end of things, laser scanning early on in a job is something that we like to do, and something that gives us an advantage and gives any general contractor an advantage in the coordination stage. One thing that we're happy to announce is that we invested in a new laser scanner that is it's a SLAM scanner. It's a Navis VLX, and it's a scanner that you wear. So if anybody's familiar with laser scanning, you have a terrestrial scanner, which basically looks like a total station. You have to set it up. You have to set up at different points. A scan of 100,000 square feet could take a couple of hours, and then it could take another day to process the images. The scanners that we have, we can scan in a fraction of that time, and the processing is instant. So it really gets that reality capture and that point cloud to our teams earlier. And then how VDC can help Precon is, it all depends on the people behind the computer. I always say that, a big proponent of operations tech and laser scanning and VDC and all those things, but it needs to be quality team members that know the process behind the computer. But being able to understand coordination and details and parameters inside all of the layers in your model will help the Precon team scope a job. And one day I'd like to get to the point where we are, doing takeoffs completely virtually, which we can do on most jobs. I mean, you can do a structural takeoff on most projects with a model, but getting a little bit deeper into that with a digital twin type model where you can really get into, every parameter of a building and take off an entire job. So very excited. I think we're at an interesting point in the industry where VDC and sustainable and operations tech are things that have been around for a little while, but are really starting to pick up traction. And I think it's really going to drive the industry forward in the next 10 years.
Absolutely. It's an exciting place to be in when you think about the tech side. But just back to the VDC side, I agree with you. I see a lot of Precon departments, granted it's some of the larger firms, working really closely with the Precon and estimating. How closely do they work with? Obviously, they're working closely with the mechanical and electrical subcontractor. But early on, how early does VDC get involved? And then do they obviously stay throughout the life cycle of the project?
Yeah, our team is very proficient with BIM coordination on a job once we mobilize. And that's critical, and that's very industry standard. But one thing that we're doing a great job of, and something that I hope I can leverage my Precon experience on, is really creating that synergy before the project starts. The more we see prefabrication, and it kind of ties back to sustainability, with the sustainability requirements that our clients now have to work under, and that impacts our design. Having a model that you can run simulations on to understand the environmental impacts of not only embodied carbon but our operational carbon helps us set up and understand those things before the job starts, and that helps again on the Precon side in pricing and scoping and understanding truly what the impacts are of the job and communicating that to the client. And taking all of those maybe issues you'd find later on in traditional methods of construction, taking those out early. So great synergy there.
Brilliant. Yeah, I love it. And then talk to me about the tech side, the operations tech. You talk about the vest, about the laser scanning. What sort of data, and I know this might seem a little bit low level or high level even, what sort of data are you gathering, and how is that utilized throughout the life cycle, specifically within pre-construction?
So I would say for virtual construction, laser scanning for pre-construction, it's really giving you an accurate representation of what the existing conditions are. And as far as pre-construction with a laser scan, a lot of that is maybe tenant fit outs. And I can think of a job where it was a big law firm project, and we did a laser scan and understood that what was designed, the plenum was a lot smaller than what the drawing showed. We caught that early, and this is kind of goes back to classic clash detection, but understanding that the duct and the lights and the diffusers and all those things weren't going to fit, because I think the drawing showed maybe we had 2 feet and we only had maybe a foot, and a lot of those things mitigated those problems early on, rather than us trying to go out and build that, having to rip things out of the ceiling, having to start over. So on the Precon side, it's truly planning. On the pricing side, again, it's the laser scan gives you good coordination. The model itself gives you the quantities, but being able to use both, again, Precon in its most general form is quantity takeoffs and pricing, but there's so much more to it than that, and being able to make sure that we're a partner to the design team and the client to make sure that the drawing as designed will fit in the building that's there. So can't emphasize enough the importance of getting VDC involved early in the game.
Absolutely. And again, come back to your point as well. Eventually, and I'm sure this is in your roadmap, it's going to be integrated estimating through models. So it's going to be getting the model, having the takeoffs, having the quantities in the model, and then taking it from there.
There are some buzzword terms that I feel that are thrown around, but I truly think we are heading in the direction of digital delivery, where you start off with a model and you go all the way through. The design model is done to a lot higher of a level of detail. Your Precon is done in there. Your scoping is done in there. You're able to get rid of the 2D submittal process of your shop drawings and do that just in the model, and that makes that BIM coordination effort a lot easier. And really, once you get to the site, it's everything's already mapped out. And then again, that digital turnover, that digital twin closeout book that gets us away from those massive PDF files or binders. So again, I think that digital delivery is it's still in its infancy a bit, but I think that we are heading in that direction, and that's, again, VDC is going to be the linchpin in all of that. So.
And it's going to help everyone. When you talk about automation, you talk about AI, you talked about AR, it's all going to allow pre-construction and traditional estimators to do the high level value engineering and kind of do the stuff that's high reward for the client.
Yeah, and it's augmented reality and virtual reality is also something that we've used in the past, and it's great again in pre-construction, and having be able to put on goggles, VR goggles in a hotel where you're doing a renovation of hotel rooms, and you can do basically a virtual mock-up of the room, walk through it and understand where everything's going to go and make sure all the scopes allocated correctly. And again, we're blessed to live in this age of technology and be on the early end of it, but it really, if used correctly, will help any general contractor, client, trade partner, etc. So
yeah, it's exciting stuff. And that kind of brings me back to another question. When you were approached by HITT to head this up, what was your thoughts? What was it? Was it one of or was it one of pure excitement?
I like to say a little bit of both. I was very humbled and excited to get that opportunity and to get that offer. Again, the last 7 years of my career were Precon focused, and I was very happy there. But I think it just kind of speaks to some of my past experiences where I think some of my best successes have come from situations where I'm kind of put into a situation where I'm not the expert in the room, or I'm not right now, and this is an opportunity to learn more, to sharpen the sword for my own set of skills. So I remember I got the offer on a Thursday, and I think on a Sunday night I sent a long email, kind of excited to accept it with all my plans for what I was going to do, and I kind of hit the ground running from there. So it's been a great experience.
Wonderful. Yeah, and then again, it's great trust as well. And it just proves as well, HITT, organic growth is huge within HITT, and it just shows you the progress, the opportunity you give. But it's again, it comes back to what's the word? Basically that ability to say yes to that unknown. It's a common thing in the pre-construction podcast. No matter who I interview, at some stage in their career, they're given an opportunity where they went, "Ooh, that sounds dangerous. That sounds risky, but guess
Right.
I'm going to go for it."
Yeah, it's gotta, especially when you're working for, a reputable contractor that you've been at for a while, you feel comfortable at, and you trust great leadership, which we definitely have at HITT. You know that you're in a position where you're not going to be perfect every day, but you're going to keep working, and you're going to just enhance that set of skills and make yourself that much more valuable in the years to come. And that's what I'm excited about. So
Yeah. And again, coming back to one thing that you said, and just tweaked on my mind, that one design build project that you did previously, I mean, I think it's 87% now of projects that are going out there are in some sort of collaboration delivery,
yeah.
or collaborative delivery. So that is the future. So your role now becomes so important when you're talking about dealing with the client, the architect, the value engineer, and early on. Are you seeing more of that delivery method, especially within your sector of it?
We are seeing more of it. Our goal is to see a lot more of it. I think in the government and healthcare and life sciences spaces, and we're going to see a lot more of that. And those are two market sectors that we plan on focusing on over the next couple of years. And I agree that kind of pre-construction design management phase is so critical for Precon, for virtual construction, for sustainable construction, and just making sure that we're leveraging all the technology correctly. And then also partnering with our operations teams and having them involved as well, where it's not, and I feel that, at HITT, and I'm sure at other companies as well, the industry's grown where it's not silos where, Precon's going to handle the number and I don't really care about what's in it. Just give me the number and I'll go. Everybody's got some stake in the game, and it's just a lot more collaboration. It makes the entire team better. And it's we've had a lot of growth internally in our company. And I think that's because of the collaboration between teams.
Yeah, it's the integrated model that allows collaboration. I totally agree with you.
Right.
Now, I want you to get out your crystal ball. I know you're 4 months into the role. Give us an insight into how you see this role developing, how you see VDC developing, the tech side of it. What excites you, and what are the plans, or what's the roadmap look like?
Yeah, I think definitely leveraging more reality capture. We have different technologies that we use for reality capture. There are the big ones out there like drone deploy in open space. Our laser scanner is great for reality capture as well. But being able to go out there and see what's happening in the field, and basically simulate building before you build it, and also taking a real picture of existing conditions. An example, we have a project, a data center in Northern Virginia, where I believe it's about 5 feet of slab we're pouring, but conduit encased throughout, and it's different layers. So you pour a foot. If you have conduit, then you have to put the next row of conduit and pour. We have to laser scan each layer to make sure that everything matches the model. Just doing an eye test isn't going to work, because if if it's incorrect placement anywhere, you're not going back into a 5-foot slab to cut that out. So I think utilizing reality capture and really pushing that to all of our teams, no matter what the market sector is. Digital delivery for sure, of kind of going through the entire 3D process and kind of taking the 2D work out of it, in the drawings and all those different documents that you have to manage. Everything lives in the model. And then operations technology is a workflow tool, helping all platforms talk to each other. So that's a big initiative of mine over the next couple of years. We have a lot of pieces of tech that handle one problem or one workflow, which is great, but they don't talk to each other. And it's part of what we want to use is open APIs on what we have, what we've built, and what we've bought, and make them talk to each other. So you're starting with maybe your CRM tool, and you're finishing with your closeout tool, and everything is current to each other. And it hit last year. A success of mine was we built a bid processing platform that manage all of our bids, and getting that to go through procurement and into our ERP is something I'm focusing on as well. So some great challenges, but I think just focusing more on the platform management of workflows talking to each other, and then digital delivery are two big items on my roadmap. So
love it. The flow of data downstream and back upstream as well. And,
it's critical.
on the data thing as well, I mean, we know how vital it is. I mean, everybody talks about it. The numbers that maybe 82% of data is only used once within construction. I mean, that's not, it's generalizing a little bit when you consider the smaller firms that don't have bigger teams. How difficult a job is that to be able to flow data downstream and back upstream?
It's incredibly difficult, and that's kind of the genesis of what I'm going to be working on. But basically, it's when you have different platforms that don't talk to each other, but you're inputting the same information multiple times, you open yourself up for error. We constantly see that, whether it's we carried concrete in one code on the bid, and then we carry it in our ERP in another. What's correct? We don't know what it is. Just even client information. You go into Procore, and maybe you have an architect under the same name, but like a different, hyphen or something there, that you're kind of, the data quality just goes downhill. So being able to put information in one time and have it be a little bit more streamlined. Again, a contractor, any big E&R contractor just has so much data at their disposal, and that helps Precon. All of the bids that we push out every year, we want to trend more towards data-driven cost modeling, where we can go in and quickly, with a set of drop downs, say we have a mat slab, a concrete structure with 60% glass and a VRF system, and it'll be able to go in, take all the bid data that have those matching parameters, and give us a cost model in 5 minutes, rather than something that would take me or someone on the Precon team up to a couple of days. So it makes work so much easier, so much more transparent, and it makes everybody smarter. So
yeah. 100%. And let's be honest, owners, from what I'm hearing, owners are kind of requiring it now. It's a case of owners need to see historical data, historical projects, and they almost need that little bit of confidence when they're selecting GCs. Are you seeing the demands of owners and architects a little bit on the high side?
On data, you're saying?
Yeah, on everything, just on what they expect. Whenever you're going into bid date, and whenever they're kind of signing off on the contract, they're going, no, I need to get an idea of how this is going to go together.
Absolutely. And what we see, a lot of our clients, in the project managers and the teams that are reviewing our bids are former GCs themselves. So they understand that it can be done. So they're going to push us to do the same thing. And I appreciate that, to be honest. I think, just at giving a 1 through 32 CSI breakdown is pretty, anybody can do that. But being able to understand what drives each number, you should be, even though we're a general contractor that collects subcontractor numbers, we know what drives foundations, and we know what drives, superstructure and things like that. We should be able to break that out. And I think the push to hold general contractors accountable, to make sure that we're being transparent in that regard, is a great thing for the industry. And we're, and the technology allows us to do that. So everybody should be doing that. So
yeah, absolutely. You mix technology and talent, you've got some formula. And it's interesting as well, out of all the projects and the industries that HITT work on, in your position now, you're going to see so many. We keep talking about pre-construction. You see a lot of more projects, but you touch on them a little bit. Yep. I would imagine that you're going to see a lot more. So I mean, it's a great team, and that VDC BIM team, it's a great industry. It's getting bigger. I see a lot of GCs building out teams now, rather than having a third-party agency coming in and doing BIM VDC. So it's exciting.
We have grown a lot, and here's a plug for HITT Contracting. Anybody listening that's interested, we're growing, and we're looking for good, talented people. And it's one of those things where it can be a little intimidating to some, that it's so technology heavy, but that can be taught. Some of the best VDC people are former superintendents and PEs and things like that. Get in front of the computer, and you now know what you're coordinating. So I wish there were more great VDC people out there, and hopefully that we'll see more of that in the future. But it's a huge pillar of the industry.
Yeah, we need the education sector to step up now and start producing BIM VDC.
That's right. Absolutely.
Stop them talking about the operations, the hard hat, and the steel toes.
Yeah, I took a AutoCAD class in high school, which close to 20 years ago now, and it was very simple, and it was great, but it's none of those things we're really using now, and it didn't cross my mind to go down a virtual construction route when I entered college. But I hope that in colleges now they're teaching those, and rolling out those BIM 360 and Revisto type platforms to make people experts. So,
I mean, I see the models all the time on LinkedIn and seeing it on the webinars. I mean, they're amazing the way they go together, and it gives you a real insight. This idea that you can't get into construction now without site experience. If you I've got patience enough, you can sit down and watch it just unfold in goggles on the TV screen, on the computer. I mean, it's going to be great for workforce development across the whole sector.
100% agree. Absolutely.
Yeah, brilliant. I'm excited, Tim. Well, listen, thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time as well to come on and discuss this with us. Exciting times. If there is anybody listening to this going, wow, Tim is trying to do all of that. I'm trying to do something similar within my GC. Any questions around technology? Maybe it's somebody interested in getting involved in VDC and BIM. Where's the best place to get you?
LinkedIn's great. My email's on there as well. My information's also on HITT's website. But yeah, anybody interested to talk more about the industry or anybody looking to make a move to HITT, please feel free to reach out. And always happy to talk to folks in the industry. So
yeah, peer-to-peer sharing it's a future, especially if we're going to get better. Everyone is in industry.
That's right.
Thank you, Tim. All the best, sir.
Thanks, Gareth. Appreciate it.